this probably should concern all of us, and George Barna is reporting this, and I think this is why I think we're losing ground in the culture war, obviously. George Barna is now reporting that less than 2% of parents with children under the age of 13 have a biblical worldview, okay? That's a problem. And this is according to his new book, Raising Spiritual Champions, and basically nurturing your child's heart, mind, and soul, with the overwhelming number of parents reporting hodgepodge mixture of competing and often conflicting worldviews. In particular, he singles out uncommitted church-going Christian parents who have no plans or will to catechize their children, resulting in a catastrophic decline in a biblical worldview in America. So I guess I shouldn't be too shocked, and I guess we shouldn't be too shocked, if less than 2% of Christian parents have a biblical worldview. It doesn't shock me when you start seeing what's going on in the society. Here's the funny thing is, I was at that board meeting last night, and there's people there in support of taking away rights from parents that claim to be Christian. And I'm not going to doubt their salvation. Salvation's a free gift. If you have a belief in the Messiah, you are saved. But what I doubt is if you're claiming to be a Christian and you're for taking away parental rights, then your discipleship is suspect. You have a major problem with your theology. If you think gay marriage is okay, you have a major problem in your theology. And this would speak to those types of people having an unbiblical worldview, which would be 98%, is what Barna is saying, have an unbiblical worldview. So we had people get up there and talk last night that profess to be Christians or Catholic or whatever, and I'm this, and I love my kids, and this and that, but their biblical worldview is pagan. Absolutely pagan. You cannot be in support of gay marriage. You cannot be in support of that kind of lifestyle. You cannot be in support of transgenderism. You can't be as a Christian. If you are, your discipleship is a problem. You apparently don't accept certain parts of the Bible or whatnot. I'm not going to doubt your salvation. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're doubting your interpretation of the Scriptures, and you're obviously wrong. So this right here explains a lot when you see the community and you see those so-called Christians supporting things that they shouldn't be supporting. It's just, it adds up. So it's like a hodgepodge of different things. So it explains a lot of what's going on currently.
To give to RHC, visit our website at rockharborchurch.net. Navigate to the Give tab and select Give Online. Fill out the giving form, ministry area, and frequency. Then click the Continue to Give button. For donations via our app, go to the Giving tab and enter your preferred amount, ministry area, and frequency. Then click the Continue to Give button. If you need assistance, please contact us at info@rockharborchurch.net or 661-829-6743. Every penny helps. Thank you.
The other thing that came out of this, another stat, the majority of the youngest teens, so the teens, 61% either believe Jesus sinned while he was on earth or hold open the possibility he did. Okay? That's like Christianity 101. Jesus never sinned. Not even half, so 45%, believe that God created the universe. So what do they think? Probably evolution or something like that, right? And an overwhelming majority believe that there are no absolute or objective truths. Well, forget it, man. If you're a Christian and you don't believe in objective truths, how are you even going to argue your case? You're in la-la land. You're in relative land. You're postmodern. And this explains why the church is failing at a horrible rate in the culture, and this is why the culture is being taken over by basically neo-paganism. Okay, so as an example of our culture turning against, its Christian values and Christians not fighting, so, now you have Portland Strip Club unanimously unionizing. I mean, this is a new first, a new low, so now we have a stripper union now, And apparently, I read the article, Portland has more strip clubs than Las Vegas, apparently. I never knew this, but what's the point? I mean, these cities like Portland, San Francisco, and L.A., whatever, they're becoming Sodom and Gomorrahs. Okay, it's a dystopia. What's happening there? I mean, there was a thing happening, I think, in Portland or Seattle. 2 naked guys on a bike got in a fight, and it's like, well, what are you doing riding a bike naked? What are you doing? What? Did I miss something? Where are your clothes? And they got into a big fight right there for everyone to see. It's crazy. Crazy. But again, we talk about these schools, and again, I sat there last night, and I'm reading at the same time. I'm reading a book while I'm listening to these people talk, because it makes my ears bleed sometimes to hear them talk. So I'm reading a book what was the title of the book? It was by Richard Rembrandt about Marx being a Satanist. And I'm listening to it, I'm hearing Satan right now speak. And they're telling me that none of this stuff is happening in the school. Brandon, they're not grooming. Really? Because every article I read every week tells me that a new teacher comes out and says, I'm doing this. I'm grooming. Okay? This queer pre-K teacher tells the kids to be gay. So this is on her TikTok, so catch it real quick. And the caption is on their TikTok, the only thing these, FL means Florida kids are learning from me is to be gay. So this is the preschool teacher that people send their preschoolers to.
That's my major problem with school. I really don't do anything unless I actually want to do it. And most of the time, I don't want to do anything at all.
This is actually a preschool teacher that people send their kids to in Florida. And the caption is, she's going to teach them to be gay. So they tell you what they're doing, right? And obviously this girl's very troubled, obviously. Very, very troubled. But if I'm the school administrator and you show up to a job interview and I see that on your TikTok, why am I hiring you? We've got maybe some mental problems. You need to be checked out. It looks like you're very disturbed. But no, let's hire them. Let's hire them. I'm sure they're going to be great for our kids. What's happening? Yeah, where's the parents? Like, yeah, this is our preschool teacher. Yeah, Mrs. Her. And it's like, whoa. So these are the books they give. Just being you. A first conversation about gender. Okay? This is going after kids. Oh, we're not, Brandon, that's not true. We're not going after kids. We're just letting them have their freedom. Really? Then why do you let the preschoolers read this book? When a baby is born, grown-ups might say, it's a girl if their body has a vagina, or if it's a boy, or if their body has a penis. This is your kids. Okay? Sometimes grown-ups aren't sure, but they choose words like girl or boy. Not sure. When my kid was born, I was really sure. Did you not see when the baby was born? I mean, what are you talking about? I wasn't sure. We'll see how he grows into this. What? Oh my God. Some babies grow in different genders. What? Then the one that grows up, grown-ups call them. There are lots of different genders that people grow into. Really? Some people are girls, some people are boys, some people are neither. What? What are we talking about? Neither. Some people are both. No, they're not. What? It's okay to wonder, am I a girl, am I a boy, am I both, or am I neither? Am I a horse? Am I a unicorn? Am I a hobbit? What am I? I don't know. Do you see what they're doing? Oh my goodness. If this is not grooming, I don't know what is. Now let me take you to some more Sodom and Gomorrah. The shock value. So the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, one of the drag hags, is caught in public as if these guys are virtuous, right? The Dodgers had them at the stadium, so did Angel Stadium. They had them at the stadium. oh, they're so wonderful, they're so virtuous. This dude was caught, you know what, for an hour in public in front of everybody at the beach. Okay? This little pervert is now put away for what he was doing. And these are the virtuous ones we want to exalt in our society. This is the perversion. And here's what I want to say. Hey, Dodgers, do you resent, what is the word? I'm like, regret. Thank you. It started with an R. Do you regret? I'm so confused watching these perverts. Do you regret doing this? Now that this guy, Mr. Pervert himself, is caught for an hour. An hour. Okay, this is a good one. This is a good one because you really, I can't play all, I had to edit stuff out, but this is Senator John Kennedy, 71, and he's going after these books that are in these libraries of schools. Again, the hotbed is the schools, okay? And apparently these librarians are making the decisions to have all these grooming books in the schools, okay? So Senator John Kennedy is going to, they're having a hearing about banning these crazy books. I mean, it's off the chart. He reads and quotes the book. I can't even play it. I can't even play it. It's so pornographic, right? So anyway, watch the exchange. It's very interesting. It's about 7 minutes long. And you tell me what you think about it afterwards. Okay, here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I confess I'm a little confused, and I appreciate the argument or discussion that we've been having, but for me it's a little too conceptual or, I don't know, metaphysical or theological or whatever you want to call it. I want to try to understand what you're asking us to do. Let's take two books that have been much discussed. The first one is called All Boys Aren't Blue, and I will quote from it. Close quote. All boys aren't blue. The second is another much discussed book. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's called Genderqueer. Okay? Let me read an excerpt from that. Quote. End quote. Now, Mr. Secretary, what are you asking us to do? Are you suggesting that only librarians should decide whether the two books that I just referenced should be available to kids? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay. Tell me what you're saying.
Well, first of all, there's this...
Don't give me a speech. Tell me what you're asking me to do.
With all due respect, Senator, and the words you spoke are disturbing, especially coming out of your mouth is very disturbing. But I would also tell you that we're not advocating for kids to read porn, to Senator Booker's point.
What are you advocating for?
We are advocating for parents, random parents, not to have the ability, under the guise of keeping kids safe, to try and challenge the worldview of every single manner on these issues.
You're getting conceptual game.
I'm not getting conceptual.
Well,
I'm saying
yes,
that
you are. Yes, you are. Because I want to know what you're recommending. It sounds to me like what some of you are saying, the librarians should decide who gets to see that book.
I'm saying when individual parents are allowed to make a decision of where that line is, and To Kill a Mockingbird, which involves a rape scene, should that book be pulled from our libraries? I think it becomes a slippery slope.
I think you ought to think about it a little bit more before you come here.
I've thought about,
if
Senator,
you're going to propose something, you ought to be able, in 30 seconds, to be able to explain what you're asking us to do. Ms. Kelly, what do you understand? Well, let me skip you for a second. Mr. Cameron, tell me what you're proposing.
It's pronounced mix.
Mix? Is that how would you like me to refer to you?
Senator, your definition of sexual is synonymous with LGBTQ identity.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you to tell me you read those two excerpts.
Genderqueer.
Do you think that, are you asking that only librarians and not parents have any say in whether minors can read those books? Is that what you're saying?
Genderqueer has never been in my school library, so it's never been banned.
Well, suppose it was. Should it be up just to the librarian, or should parents have a say?
There should be facilitation of collaboration between students,
Should parents have
and
a say?
Parents should be working with students and educators to be making decisions, because students are...
And who decides ultimately, the librarian, or do you take a vote, or who takes the vote?
Book review committees in the community in my school district.
You want a committee to decide?
There are committees.
Okay. Well, I'm asking you, how do we decide whether the two books that I just referenced should be available in the library? What would you, if you were running things, what would you do?
All Boys Aren't Blue, the scene you mentioned, is about sexual abuse.
I know what it's about.
It's not
What
erotic.
would you do in terms of making the books available? Would you say anybody can see them, or they have to be in a special session?
Students who do not read books like All Boys Aren't Blue cannot learn what is appropriate.
I understand that.
They cannot learn.
I understand, but none of you want to
abuse.
answer my question. You come here and you say censorship is bad, and of course it's bad. But the obvious response is, okay, you heard the books we're talking about. Okay, we're not talking about Catcher in the Rye. So tell me what you want, who gets to decide. And all I've heard is the librarians. And parents have nothing to do with it. And if that's your response, what planet did you just parachute in from?
Parents, Senator.
Or what country, more appropriately? This is not China.
Parents, Senator, for all due respect, parents absolutely have a say. My parents were immigrants, came to this country. We never checked out books without our parents seeing what books we were reading. They encouraged us to read books.
Mr. Secretary, I understand this is good for your politics back home.
It's got nothing to do with my politics. My bill is passed.
Of course it does.
My bill is
It has
passed.
everything to do with your politics.
I'm here to...
But you came here with a problem, and I'm trying to understand the solution, and you don't have one.
We solved the solution.
Other than to tell us that we don't agree with you, we'll be on the wrong side of history.
We solved the problem in Illinois. We fixed it. Because we
well, there are others you could work on.
Well, that's why I'm here to help.
I'm out of time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
To help other states make these decisions.
So, I mean, I obviously couldn't play it. I had to put that music in because it is so off the chart pornographic, man. I mean, it's like way off the chart. And I can't believe they're letting kids read that. But what is the point? The point is, you see, they're trying to take away parental authority. And now a librarian is going to make that decision on what's being able to be read in the schools. So again, this is the big fight that we're talking about. It's nationwide. It's obviously happening in Bakersfield because we were at a meeting last night about it, and it's not going away. And then, okay, so what did the board do? Well, the board, we're going to table this because the Chino Valley, we want to see what happens with Chino Valley, and there's other districts that are actually joining. I think there's up to, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7 are joining Chino Valley in its rebellion against Newsom and Pharaoh Newsom, I should say. And God bless them. But the board here is like, well, we're going to table this to see what happens because this is probably going to go to the Supreme Court. And it probably will. But so by them tabling it last night, that means that the teachers right now can still do what they're doing. Not telling the parents, having these pornographic books, and keep rolling as they will until the Supreme Court weighs in, which is like 3 or 4 years from now. Oh yeah, that's exactly what they decided, that things are just going to keep rolling. I mean, I was talking to Mark McKenzie. Where's Mark at? There's Mark right there. We were talking about that last night. Yeah, it's just going to continue to roll as they're doing now. I mean, we pointed out in April about that one teacher that went to the New York Times, for goodness sakes, and said, yeah, I groomed them. She just flat out said she did. Wasn't hiding it. So we have this going on right in front of our home. So look, man, I show you this to tell you this war is not over. And you know, I was listening to the other side speak, and you can hear them talking to one another. We'll be back, and we're going to keep fighting, and we're just going to keep at it. You understand, the evil's not taking a day off. They're going to push, man, and they're not going to stop until they win. Well, guess what? It's going to take you and I to stand in the gap and keep fighting this battle until kingdom comes, okay? There's no sitting back on this, well, you know, we'll let it go. No, they're going after kids. This is a scary thing. So anyway, that's that aspect of it. Now, here's the interesting thing. Now, this is stupid, but I want you to show you why they keep doing this, okay? So now, apparently, there are 3-fingered alien bodies that are unveiled in Mexico, okay? Alleged non-human beings were presented during a congressional hearing in Mexico City. The bodies were reported to be 1,000-year-old fossilized remains of extraterrestrial individuals found in the Peruvian mine. And here's kind of what the little bodies look like. Okay. So then the guy who's pushing it, Jaime Maussan, I think is pronounced, obviously he's led all kinds of alien phenomena investigation, and the things have been debunked. And so this guy like really has no credibility whatsoever. But what's the point? Why is the Mexican government saying, yeah, we found them. There they are. Here are the aliens. Why would the government of Mexico do that? Why would our government come out and do this? Why are these governments now saying this stuff? I mean, they don't know. I mean, this guy that they're using, this guy's a fraud, by the way. But why would they know he's a fraud. Why would they propose something like this? See, because it's stupid. I mean, most people, they say, oh, that's stupid. But here's my thing. Why does the government keep doing this? Why does our government? They're coming out. Listen to this. They're coming out tomorrow or the next day about this. Listen to this news caption.
Well, tomorrow, NASA set to release the findings of a heavily anticipated report on unidentified anomalous phenomena, also known as UAPs. Now, it comes as Mexico holds its first ever hearing on UFOs, with scientists putting on display what they claim are the remains of 2 extraterrestrials. News Nation's Joe Khalil joins us live with these developments. Joe, this is some big news.
Yeah, Kelly, we got big news on multiple fronts here globally on the UFO story. So let's start with NASA that you referenced off the top here. Tomorrow, the agency is going to be releasing its findings on UAPs. Because of significantly increased reports and sightings, last year, NASA put together this team to study the phenomenon, figure out what's real, what we know, and what is still a mystery. And after almost a full year, we are going to finally get that report tomorrow. Now, before that, we expect NASA officials, including the head of the agency, Administrator Bill Nelson, they will be briefing reporters on their finding as well. We are going to hopefully be there, be able to ask our questions. We spoke exclusively today to UFO researcher and filmmaker James Fox about his expectations for NASA's upcoming report tomorrow. Here's what he told us.
Initially, my expectations were somewhat high because of the statements that Bill Nelson's been making, head of NASA. He was making very compelling statements on the difficulty to explaining some of these unidentified aerial objects that defy physics as we understand it. You know, he acknowledged the tic-tac. He said he'd met with the pilots and that they couldn't explain what that thing was or where it came from. So then when I found out that they were not going to have access to the classified files, my expectations lowered quite significantly.
So we're anticipating that. Meantime, there is this in Mexico this week. Congressional hearings focused on UAP sightings, much like we had in the U.S. Congress back in July. And this right here sort of stole the show. This is according to a prominent Mexican UFO journalist and researcher. These are two non-human corpses, both at least 1,000 years old, discovered in Peru back in 2017 and then fossilized. Now, look, there is a lot of skepticism here about whether these are real, whether this is legitimate. We ourselves can't verify any of this, so we are skeptical about what we're seeing here at News Nation when it comes to the origins of these things in this video. Nonetheless, these displays were a part of a legitimate Mexican congressional hearing. Ryan Graves, the former Navy pilot who actually testified before the U.S. Congress back in July, he was also there sharing his story and his experiences with UAPs, Kelly. So, I think a lot of work still having to go into whether or not these things are real. Mexico's Congress debating whether they're going to be enhancing a law that would essentially make Mexico the first country on earth to say explicitly that they believe in extraterrestrial life. So a lot happening just south of our border there, Kelly.
All right, you can understand the skepticism. Joe Khalil, thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
Okay, so what's the deal? What's the deal? I got some hands. Go ahead. We got a lot of hands. What's going on here?
What do you think about the days of Noah? These alien abductions, the sexual stories. Maybe they're breeding with fallen angels, and they're getting ready to come back, and they're trying to get everybody ready for this.
Well,
and this is a loose paraphrase, but that it'll be when Christ comes again, like the days of Noah.
The days of Noah, yeah. Yeah, I understand that there's that theory out there. I don't subscribe to it. But I do believe that mankind is messing with the DNA. That's one thing we can be sure of, and that's demonically inspired. I don't think we're going to see the return of the Nephilim like we did in Genesis 6, but we are seeing an outbreak of problems with genetic modifications that humans are doing. So I think that's the connection with the days of Noah, is the genetic lines being messed up. On top of that, though, we're seeing a lot of high demonic activity all over the place. There's no doubt about that. The high levels of demonic. And when you start seeing demons manifest themselves, like they were calling them UAPs. Look, about 90% of the UAPs are fake, okay? But there are a percentage that are true and are real, and they're unexplained, but it's really, from a biblical standpoint, it's easy to explain. It's a fallen angel or it's a demon manifesting themselves. But here's my question then, and we have some hands up. Why all of a sudden now? Why are governments, the government of Mexico, why is the United States saying, hey man, they're real? All of a sudden, from Roswell, that's not happening. That's not happening. What are you guys talking about? You're crazy. You're Area 51 tinfoil guys. But now it's like, no, we're going to recognize it. What's going on?
I believe it's fear factor, the next big fear factor that they're trying to push on us, and they're not going to just. It's kind of like the COVID thing, and everybody better go get their shot. If they can throw enough fear in it, and they're just starting to build it now, and there'll be a lot more that comes out until it really grips the hearts of people, and a lot of chaos will come, and then they will look to the government or a global entity to give us security and peace. But in that process, then they will be taking away our rights, and they will be controlling us as a global people, and they will achieve their agenda through that.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Excellent. Where's the other? Back there. Go ahead. Yeah.
What do you think about them using these Tic Tacs along with this Project Bluebeam and projections to create that mass panic, because from what I'm hearing, that they're these little Tic Tacs are something that they're pushing, and they're gonna use Project Bluebeam to make it seem like it's an alien invasion, because they've been shooting them down, and they supposedly there's this thing was supposed to be a meteor passing through, but it was actually, it was a ship, and now they're gonna come back with a lot of rage because we shot them down, and we're not really buying it in the public, and they have to do something to really make it real. So they're gonna do some serious damage this next round using that technology and some real technology to really hurt people, but and destroy some stuff, but to make it really effective.
Well, you're on a good point, and what she's echoing too, that if you're going to create a crisis and you're going to use, I mean, we understand that the military has the leaks that come out of the military of the technology that they have is way beyond what we even understand, and that they possibly are using that kind of technology to give the impression that we're under alien invasion. I think that's right in line with what's going on, and they could actually say, look, man, we're under alien invasion. We all need to come together and look what happened. And what would be the impetus of, we have a major crisis? Well, I don't know, some alien destroyed a city or something like that. Well, look, guys, we got to do something, and maybe they manufacture the crisis. Look, I'm now understanding, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I understand we're dealing with very nefarious people that actually will make up something like a pandemic, okay, like global warming, or whatever they need to do in order to arrest, get fear, and decompliance. So it very well could be. And this is why I keep watching this, and I'm like, dude, why do they keep talking about this? I think they're setting something up. I really do. So you're on to something. Yeah, okay, where am I at now? Right there, Dr. Menzi.
My suspicion is that if this is in public knowledge, when the rapture occurs, it's better to explain it away.
Yeah, right. And therein lies the demonic manifestations and what they're setting up, right? And I told you guys, get the book by Chuck Missler, Alien Invasion. It's like it was written in the 90s, but you can get it on Amazon. And what Chuck did in that book, he actually chronicled people who were mediums and psychics that were actually channeling demons. And the demons weren't saying they're demons, they're like avatars from the future or whatever. And you know what they said? The demons told them that in the future there's going to be the great evacuation. And this is what the demons said. You can see this in the book. It's quote for quote. About 2 billion people will disappear all of a sudden. Yeah, and they said there would be 2 phases to it. That the first phase is taking the people that are holding Mother Earth back from her spiritual evolution, the bad people, and it's going to take them off, and don't worry about, they're going to be literally, it said this, they're going to be beamed up into the spaceships that are invisible, and then they're going to be beamed up to a bigger spaceship, and then they're going to be taken to be re-educated. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Get the book. That's literally what the demon said that the necromancer was channeling, what they said to her, okay? These channelers. Okay, then they said this, but there'll be a second phase to it. The children will disappear all over the planet. So they even threw that in there and saying, yes, don't be alarmed. All the children from all the world will disappear. But don't worry, they're going to be taken for a special purpose because they're going to be taken to another planet to populate that planet and start a new civilization. But notice what the demons did. They included the children. Why? Why do you think they included the children? Because if the children haven't reached the age of accountability, no matter where that child, whether that child's in a Muslim home or somewhere, a pagan home, if they haven't reached accountability, they're going to be saved and taken in the rapture. Babies, toddlers, no matter who. And so the demons even had an excuse for that. Isn't that amazing? Something's up. Look, the demons are smarter than us. You understand that. They can see things too developing. And they have a way better, clearer picture than we do. about that. So I think I think it's total rapture cover, right? Where am I at? Right there.
Hi, Brandon. If I enjoy good science fiction movies and UFO movies, and one of my favorites is Independence Day. I recommend it to you. It's thoughtfully done, and it's got a great plot, great story, and it's got some aliens in it, And the president didn't know. He finds out during the movie. My favorite line from that movie is a radio broadcaster says, "The governor of California is asking Angelenos not to shoot at the alien spaceships." Okay. I would just comment about the pictures you showed us that they look exactly like E.T., the famous guy from the movie. It looks like somebody broke into the prop department of E.T. and stole a couple of the, puppets that were played for E.T.
I think it's total forgery.
I haven't heard anything about any reputable coroner or, that sort of thing, scientist examining the bodies.
Yeah. So you're hitting on a good point, David, because think about this. There was no x-rays, there was no MRIs of these things or whatever, but the Mexican government said, just put it out there. Why would a government be so irresponsible and say, yeah, that looks great, let's throw that out there?
And how'd they get it from Peru?
And how'd they get it from Peru? What mine did they find it in? We don't know, yada, yada. And it's like, wait a second. Something seems very suspicious here. And why would the Mexican government just go ahead and do this? Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. Yeah, there's drugs. That's a fentanyl alien right there, man. It's laced with fentanyl.
Okay, my first question is, couldn't that be one of the gods that these paganistic peoples have been serving?
We don't even know, because we don't even know what archaeologists dug this up. Is Indiana Jones, or who was this?
Right.
The Mexican government didn't put it out.
And my second question is, why is it that only the government has been chosen to do all of the sightings?
I'm telling you, there's something to this. I'm not crazy. What do you think they're using the LGBT agenda for? Remember I showed you, it's not coming from San Francisco. The LGBT agenda is coming from the private public partnership of the corporations and the governments of the world to push an agenda that's anti-Christian. That's why they're taking it. Communism cannot exist with Christianity, by the way. Okay? It can't. Where am I at, Ty?
Right here. Hey, this is the last question, but you guys I just want you guys to remember this is for questions only.
Okay, where are we at? Right here. Yeah, go ahead.
Pastor Brandon, well, first, my family comes from a piñata making business, so this doesn't really surprise me. My family comes from Mexico, and they had a piñata making business, so that doesn't entirely surprise me. They have a piñata business? Yes. This is what this looks like, but...
It looks like a piñata? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't put it past the guy who brought it up, man.
But my question was, is it possible that, with, the intel that they have, Christians have been talking about the return of Jesus Christ forever.
Yeah.
They know that, and they know the outcome also. And so is it possible that they're using this now, what is considered intel for them, to say, well, how do we explain what's happening in the world? How do we explain the shift that's happening? Because even the secular people, although they won't admit it, they'll admit it in other ways, of saying, like, it used to be like this, days used to be like this, we can't do that anymore, we can't let our kids outside anymore, we can't let them run the street. So they'll say it in other ways, but they'll never acknowledge and put all these data points together to say that there's a huge shift that they can never explain, but they won't acknowledge that it's happening biblically based. So is it possible that they're using this to say, well, we know the outcome that has been spoken of, and it's looking like what's been talked about. We have to set some sort of stage to explain what's going to happen.
Absolutely. I think, Claudia, you're onto something, because definitely the demons know this. But here's the interesting thing. If you want to know what they're afraid of. What is evil people afraid of? They're afraid of the truth, okay? So in order to do that, they have to demonize the truth. And what particular thing do they always go after? In eschatology, the study of the last days, they don't go after preterism. They don't go after all-millennialism or post-millennialism. What do they go after? They go after a pre-trib, premillennial eschatological view. That's what the demons go after, and that's what our enemies go after. They're not. So they make movies called Rapture Palooza. It was on the other night. A total mockery of the rapture scenario and the tribulation, right? But I don't see a movie called The Preterist Palooza or the post all millennials Palooza. They don't do that. So I already know in what evil attacks, evil will always attack the truth. It doesn't go after itself because a kingdom is not divided against itself. So it's not going to attack the lies it gives. It goes after the truth. So Claudia, I think there's a level, at the Luciferian level, they know exactly what they need to do. Then you have below them all the useful idiots that they don't know. They're just being used. They're these idiots. But the ones at the top, the very Luciferian ones, totally get this. And they understand they got to come up with an excuse because if a disappearance of billions of people off the planet, how are they going to explain this? And so I think you're totally right on that. Okay. Well, am I done? Am I done? Okay. But back to what even Natalie said. What's the goal? What's the point? Why are the governments coming out with stupid aliens? Why are librarians making decisions for your kids? Why are they trying to attack parental notification? All that. What is this? It is a communistic takeover of the United States. Okay? You must understand that. And don't be afraid to say it. Okay? We got to get you out of here. It's late. Let's pray. Father, thank you, Lord, for all the things we can learn. Help us, Father, to continue the good fight of faith. Give us strength. Give us encouragement. And like we studied tonight, perseverance. To keep persevering against evil and to get the truth out and to get as many people rescued as possible with your truth and through Jesus Christ. Help us, Father, to be that salt and light as we go. Bless us now. In Jesus' name, amen.